Hello everyone and welcome to another live from the workshop. So today I'm going to be making another couple of 13th Doctor customs, but I'm actually going to be making a variation of the same custom, because I'm going to be making the 13th Doctor as she appeared in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and I'm going to do a coated version, but I'm also going to do a version which has just the waistcoat. So the waistcoat version I've actually still got to do all the sculpting and stuff on, so that one's off to the side for now. But for the main version, the coated version, I've already done all the sculpting and things like that. I've made a little bit of a mistake in that I've sculpted this in that I now can't get the coat off, but I can work around that. So overall, this is a Claudia primeval figure underneath, with a Series 8 12th Doctor coat. And then, obviously, I've added on the sculpted waistcoat, and I've also sculpted on the sleeves, making sure that the hands will still go in there. The trousers, I did originally think about using the 12th Doctor trousers, or swapping them over for something else, because the thing is, these trousers do look quite fitted, and not as baggy as they would do, but the problem with that is it doesn't look, it wouldn't look right, and the height would be off. So I decided just to keep the trousers as they are, and I think once they're painted up, you won't really notice that they're not that baggy. The shoes, she's still got her own shoes, but what I'm considering doing, and I'll see how well it comes out first of all, is to cast up some Series 8 Peter Capaldi 12th Doctor shoes, and then trim them down and cut these ones off and put the new ones in place. But I don't know if that's going to work, so it might be that I just keep these ones and paint them for now. But ideally, I would like to put the proper size shoes on there, because obviously the shoes would be part of it, and the fact that, you know, these shoes are fitted to the feet of the figure, of the size of the figure, it would make sense more that they would be the bigger Peter Capaldi size ones, because those are the ones she wears throughout the episode. So we'll see on that front. But first things first is to start with the painting of the shirt. So I'm going to get straight onto that now. And so here are the finished custom figure bodies. Now, it's at this point that I must admit to misleading you a little, because you see, the thumbnail is a little misleading, because at the time of recording this, or at least at the time of recording this part, a 13th Doctor figure has gone up for pre-order on a couple of sites, Galaxy 4, the Who Shop, and this is the character options version, not the Galaxy 4 version. Now, again, at the time of recording, CO haven't officially made any announcement, but the what has been said on the pre-orders is that they're getting the stock in December, January. So for all I know, when this video comes out, the figures may have already been out, already coming out, or whatever. But I decided that I wanted to get a bit of a head start, pun not intended, on making a couple of 13th Doctor regeneration figures. And so I thought, well, what would be best would be to make up the bodies, and then when the figure actually arrives, I can create a mold, a cast of the new head, and then I can use it to, I can put one head on, I can create a couple of heads to cast on to these figures, which is what I plan to do. But obviously at the time of recording, I don't have the heads. So in the thumbnail, what I've actually done is photoshopped the 10-inch 13th Doctor head onto both of these figures, and also the Sonic into the hands with a little bit of artistic license taken by putting on some goggles as well. But that is actually what I plan to do with this figure, is actually to, when I cast the head, and then sculpt on the goggles, because I was thinking, and I was umming and ahhing about whether to do it or not, but then I realised that actually it'd be a good idea to do it, because it means I wouldn't have to try and repaint the eyes, which is always the difficult bit. Now, the apron on this one is obviously removable, but I quite like leaving the apron on, because then obviously it will come with the sonic screwdriver as well, and it just looks a little bit, different, but I don't know whether I'll keep the apron on or not. But literally all I've done for this one is both of these as a base are Claudia Primeval figures, but I have then swapped over for some End of Time Master legs, because originally my plan was to cast up some Series 8 Capaldi shoes and then put them onto the figures, but I realised that that would be quite difficult. It might be quite a while before I did that, so I then tried to sculpt on some shoes, and that didn't work. And then I realised I had a couple of these legs spare, and luckily I had another End of Time Master figure spare, and I realised that the boots are actually quite a good likeness, and obviously they are male size boots compared to a female size figure, so I've extended them slightly, which you can see here. You can see where I've extended the legs a little bit, and then glued them into place. Everything up the top here is the standard Jenny Primeval figure, which I have repainted the shirt on both of these, and then on this one and on that one I've completely sculpted on the waistcoat, but the arms on this one are actually from a Helen Cutter Primeval figure. I did consider using a policewoman Amy, and also sculpting up and making up some Clara Oswald arms, but when I looked at these ones I realised this is actually better, because she does have her sleeves sort of rolled all the way up, and it was just easier to use this figure than to try and muck about with some other ones. And I had these spare, I've got a fair few of these spare, so it seemed a good idea to do it. And then obviously once that's done, the head is going to go onto that, so I'll take that one out of the way for the second, because I know this is the one that people are going to want to look at. So this is obviously a regenerated 13th Doctor, so overall again, this is, before I get it close to the camera, overall again, this is a Claudia Brown figure, but the only change is changing on the Masters, End of Time Masters boots again, which I've sculpted on, and the arms and everything are again actually all still the Claudia Brown things, but I have used Milliput to sculpt on not just the waistcoat but also the extra cuffs. And then the coat is from a Series 8 12th Doctor, which obviously I've ripped up, torn up, torn it up all around the back and weathered it to make it look all tattered, and then obviously added on parts where the lining all shows through and everything like that. And I think it's worked it's worked very well, and obviously all around the cuffs as well, I've added a little bit of red to show the lining, and then the cuffs themselves, as I said, that is just Milliput, which I've put into each of the cuffs. Now, what I plan to do for this, because obviously, as many of you will know, my collection of regeneration figures I like to have them boxed, and so the idea was for this is to do a 2-pack version. But the problem I had then was I didn't know how to package them. That doesn't stay on very well. That's the other problem that the apron has. I might leave the apron as a separate accessory. But yeah, that was the other problem which this had, is that I didn't know how to package these. But what I'm going to do is I have a spare Crash set, which is not Time Crash. The Crash set was actually, and ironically, from the 11th Doctor's premiere, the 11th hour, in which we had a standard 11th Doctor, and we also had the Raggedy Doctor figure original release. So I've got one of those boxes spare, so that's probably what I'm going to do for this. But that means that I'm going to have to come up with something creative in terms of the packaging, because that will probably have to all be made from scratch. I have to scan in the old pieces and make it up myself. But obviously we've had a couple of pieces of 13th Doctor merchandise, such as the 10-inch figure and the sonic screwdriver, so I have an idea of the colours and the style. So I'm going to see what I can do, but that is all for part 1. Part 2 will be showing you, as a custom figure showcase, not only what I have done with the heads and putting the heads on, but hopefully also it will show you having on the putting them in the custom box as well. So I'm very, very pleased to see how this is all going to turn out, because obviously it's going to be as new to me as it all is to you, because I have not seen at the time of recording, I've not seen the 13th Doctor figures yet. So again, I apologise for misleading you all slightly in the thumbnail, but it is something which I thought would just draw some more people in. And at the end of the day, the 13th Doctor head is going to be the 13th Doctor head. The main thing about these figures is the custom body, so I still feel like I've delivered on what most people would have wanted to see, even if it's not quite what they wanted to see. But that brings to a close another Live from the Workshop. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. Be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation, and you can get involved. There is exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.